Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dog Q&A. This is episode 22, and today we're going to talk about Halloween safety for your dog and other pets as well. So, and as a bonus at the end, Minnie here is going to show you her Halloween costume, and it's super cute, so you won't want to miss that. Okay, so to start us off, I'm going to give you 10 tips. These will not be long, just some brief things that hopefully can help save you and your dog some hassle and money at the vet. And okay, and some of these are from personal experience as well. All right, so the first one is Halloween candy. Now, we've all heard how chocolate is toxic to dogs, and inevitably someone will tell me a story. And first, let me get so I've got a picture for everything. So I'm going to get a picture pulled up. This will be good practice for me here. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I've got to make the pictures bigger real quick. Okay, that's right. So I've got to make the picture big and then share it. Always learning. Okay, so this is picture number one. So Halloween candy. We've all heard that this is toxic for dogs, and I even have had this experience when I was younger. We had a dog who ate an entire Easter basket of candy and nothing happened to her. And it was only like a 35-pound dog. However, just because some dogs are more tolerant to it doesn't mean others aren't. And you have no way to know, obviously how it's going to affect your dog. But there is something else in candy, which is xylitol, and it's a chemical sweetener that's obviously not good for us or animals. And what it does is it can cause a sudden drop in blood sugar, which can cause a loss of coordination or seizures and all of that. So keep the candy away from your pets. What I recommend is maybe keeping it on a table that's out of their reach, or if your dog's very big, maybe block them out of the room and have it in a separate room. So just a couple of tips on that one. Okay, then next up, we've got my video here. We've got pumpkin and corn. Is this sharing? Maybe it is. Can I make this bigger? Okay, so pumpkins and corn. Hopefully you can see that. Well, we all know what pumpkin and corn looks like. The picture's just for fun. What can happen? So small amounts of pumpkin puree are actually good for your dog. They're good for digestion and keeping that system moving. However, corn is very high on the glycemic index. So what it does is spikes and crashes the blood sugar. And that can actually take years off your pet's life or our lives. It's actually very detrimental. And carved pumpkin and corn that sits out can become moldy, and it causes aflatoxins to sort of germinate there. Those are mycotoxins, I guess. So these mycotoxins can actually cause neurologic problems in the pet. And I just listened to this interesting talk at the dog training seminar this week, and it was how gut bacteria is related to neurologic function. Very fascinating thing. So if you're interested in that, I highly recommend doing some research on it because it's really fascinating. So if you've got carved pumpkins or this decorative corn that we use at Thanksgiving and Halloween, just keep your dogs on a leash when you're around it. Don't put it in your unfenced yard where your dog runs around freely, and then just don't let your dog eat it when you go outside. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 And I'll give you another fun tip here. So this one is jack-o'-lanterns. My husband taught me this. When a pumpkin is carved like this, it's no longer called a pumpkin, it's called a jack-o'-lantern. So that's the difference. Who knew? Maybe some of you knew. I didn't know. So obviously these can be harmful with the mold that we just talked about, but also the fire. Obviously your dog doesn't know necessarily to stay away from an open flame, and that can, if he were to knock that over even accidentally, the fire can spill out, burn him, burn the house. You're in California or one of the drier places, then yes, that can be extremely detrimental. So keep that in mind. And also if you're using store-bought candles that are just regular candles, those are actually, they put out chemical toxins in the when they burn. So natural candles are always better as well. So that's our third one, are jack-o'-lanterns. Next we've got, let me see if I can make this one bigger here. I don't know if it matters if I make it bigger, but I'm just going to do that just in case. Might be easier to see. Okay, so next up are these plug-in or electric decorations. Now this would be more for puppies or dogs that have a higher energy or higher drive that are more likely to chew on cords. So obviously you don't want your dog chewing on something that's plugged into an outlet. Remember that when you use these sort of decorative electrical Halloween decorations. Maybe safer than an open flame, but just keep that in mind. If you have puppies, you may want to keep them out of the room where you've got your electric decorations. Okay, and then one more of this type is something to think about, glow sticks. So these are great for your kids to keep them lit when they're out walking around the neighborhood. Don't let your dogs chew on these. So I did a little research on these and found out there are two liquids in the glow stick. One is a diphenyl oxalate compound and the other is hydrogen peroxide. Every site I read said these are not toxic to dogs. However, diphenyl oxalate is a chemical compound. And hydrogen peroxide, while it's not toxic to animals, you don't want to give it to them because it's, I believe we give that to induce vomiting, if I'm not mistaken. So you don't want your dogs to eat these things. And the way they work is these chemicals are in there in separate compartments. And then when you bend it, like this picture at the bottom, it mixes the chemicals together and causes the glow. So obviously they're quote unquote non-toxic, but eating one can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and excessive drooling. So I'm going to say, let's keep those away from our pets. Okay, and then next up we've got, I'll give you a picture of this cute dog here. Okay, so now we're moving away from the things your dog can ingest and get into trouble with. And more into some practical tips for just managing your dog when you've got trick-or-treating going on. So number one, don't leave your pets outside on Halloween, especially black cats. And I know we don't like to think this way because we don't think this way, but there are a lot of people on Halloween who will do terrible things to animals just to do it. There's a lot of evil stirring on that day, and one of the things that can happen, it affects people and then they do horrible things to animals. It just brings out the crazy in a lot of people. So keep your dogs inside, keep your cats inside, keep all your animals inside on Halloween and completely contained. And that's a cute little dog I found just to have a picture of a dog in a yard there. And if you're going to take your dog out on Halloween, even in the yard, just put them on a leash and let them go out for a potty break and then bring them right back in. Okay, and another reason why that's appropriate is because, um, let me move my page here. So people coming to the door, ringing the doorbell, walking away constantly all night can be very stressful for pets that aren't used to that. So, um, one thing I like to do for, because it's a lot of activity, it's just a lot going on. So your dog is going to feel all that energy. So have maybe put your dog in a separate room that's away from the front door or in a crate. Give them a nice chewy, put on some soft music to kind of block out the other sounds, maybe a white fan or a white fan, a fan on high for white noise, and maybe some lavender oil or something calming to your dog. And actually, classical music can be very soothing to animals. So set your dog up in a place that's very calming and soothing, and then leave him in there during the event. So while the trick or treating's going on, once it starts to die down, you can start to let your dog out, read your dog's body language. If they still seem pretty stressed, leave them in there. Some dogs may be asleep, great, leave them in there. If they're chewing on their bone, great, leave them in there. They're going to be much more content in that room than they will be trying to deal with all the activity in the house. And especially if you have people coming into the house as well, just give your dog a nice quiet space where he's undisturbed by all the activity. Okay. Now, one other thing about dogs being sort of contained in a nice quiet room is that now they're going to be much more unlikely to run out the front door when they get nervous or scared or stressed or even over energized from all the activity. So it's just the best way to keep your dog safe and contained during the evening. Okay, next up, this is one of my favorite pictures of all time. My husband took this and it is hilarious to me. And okay, so this is a picture of Sammy with his ID tag. So make sure before Halloween that your dog or pet's ID tags are up to date. That is just in case they happen to get out, then they can come back to you quickly. And when our other dog Maddie and Sammy were a year old, they escaped from the yard, unbeknownst to my husband, who was home at the time. And a man found them about 5 miles away within and they're huskies and they were young, so they ran a lot, and called me, said, I have your dogs, and then drove them to our house because I had our phone numbers on there, our address. Obviously, not everyone's comfortable putting all that information on there, but it got them home to us very quickly, and thanks to our good Samaritan out there, they were returned to us safe and sound. So ID tags, always a good idea for your pets, and especially on times when they're likely to escape. Okay, now this is just funny. So I will share, actually, I don't want to share this picture because I'm going to do something else. So right now I'm going to, so for number 9 on our list, talk about dogs with costumes. So super fun to dress up your dog. I've got Minnie here with me, who actually fell asleep. And I'm going to show you how to get your dog sort of used to their costume before you just make them wear it. You always want to desensitize your dog to clothing that you're going to put on before you just put it on them, so it's positive for them. And Minnie was a movie dog in her previous life, so she is used to wearing a lot of clothing and items of like that. And this is where you're going to see a preview of her costume. So let me, and by the way, when you pick a costume, make sure it's pet friendly, because one thing for when the costume has sleeves, on people they're on the side, but on pets they need to be in the front. And when I worked on film sets, they would buy people costumes to put on the dogs, the props department, not realizing the arms are in a wrong position for the pet or the animal. So they'd inevitably have to stop production and, go out and change that and rearrange the whole schedule because they didn't think about that thing. So make sure the costume is designed for pets. Now, also make sure there's nothing restrictive. Your dog can move around in it. So once you get them used to it and get it on, make sure that they can move around easily and freely in it. Okay, so I'm going to point the camera down so you can see Minnie. There she is. Minnie. She is sound asleep. So what you're going to do is get the costume and get a whole lot of treats. And if your dog works for their kibble, you can use that and just make sure it's something very delicious that your dog really likes, and maybe something they're not even used to. So I'm going to show her this treat. Minnie, come here, Minnie. So I'm going to have her come over here. Come here, Minnie. Come on. She is so tired. I guess I worked her too hard today. Okay, so let me move back so I can bring her up here. Come on, Minnie. Good. I'll show you one of her little tricks here. Good. I'll show you from the side. Oh, good, Minnie. Good. That's cute. Give her a little treat for that. Okay, so I've got her costume here. So this one is just, these arms are fake. Her arms aren't going to go in that, but these are real. So her front legs will go in that. So this just goes over the head. And what I'm going to do, now she's already used to having things put on. So if your dog's not used to it, just hold up the treat, let them put their face in and let them take it out. And just start with that. So that's step one. Once your dog can do that, you can have them put their head in more, just like that. And then once you get past that, and by the way, that could take, hours, days, weeks, depending on the dog. So once you get to that point, if your dog's not fighting it, you can put it around your dog, like that. I give her such tiny treats, I have to sometimes put them in my hand. Okay, so she's used to that. She's not resisting it. You can see that she's obviously used to this. So then what I'm going to do is have a couple of treats and just put them on the ground. And then I'm going to put her leg in the arm thing here. Now you can see she's not completely comfortable with that. So what I'm going to do, now I got her all tripped up here. Like I said, make sure your dog can move in the costume. Here, Minnie. Oh, she stepped through it. Okay. Good girl. So I'm just going to have her, here, Minnie. See if she'll walk with it on. Let's start over. Come over here, Minnie. Good girl. So let's start over here. Now, when they're on set, movie dogs are dressed up constantly. Minnie, come here, Minnie. Right here. Good girl. She is not dressed up every day like she used to be, so she may not be as used to this as she once was. Good girl. So what you might need to do is start by holding a treat while you touch your dog's foot. Before you just grab the foot and put it in the costume, hold the treat and let them chew on that while you hold the foot. So I touch the foot. Good. Just like that. So just getting her used to the feel of it again, having her foot picked up. Do one more. Do this side. Minnie, right here. So while she's eating, lift up the foot as if I'm going to put it in the costume and put it back down. So what I would do is spend a little time working on this, just getting her used to her feet being handled so that I can put them in the costume. So right now I'm just going to give her one for having it on. And then if you've got a hat, now you get to see the full costume here. If you've got a hat, you want to first get your dog used to just having that over their head. So you may have to start right here and give them a treat. Give her a little bit. And then you can lower it. See how your dog tolerates that. She doesn't see it. And I want to make sure she sees it. So I show it to her and then let her see that I'm holding it over her head, which she doesn't care about. Get a few more treats here. And then we'll go a little lower. Now I'm going to set it on her head. She doesn't care about that one bit. So now what I'm going to do, because she doesn't mind this, is I'm going to take a little treat here. And then once again, have her put her head through. And just put that around her head. Pull her ears out so she's comfortable. Give her another little treat. Good. And then while you adjust it, you can have your dog nibble on the treat. And then now you can see Minnie's costume for Halloween. Minnie, good girl. So she is going to be a UPS driver this year. She wants to get a job. She's sick of retirement. So now we're going to have her deliver mail and packages for Halloween. So one tip here is before your dog finishes all their food and their treats, you want to take the costume off and just give them a chance to be free of it as well. And even taking it off, you want that to be positive too. So you're going to have a treat. I know these are tiny, huh, girl? Treat while I take it off, just like I did putting it on. Good job, Minnie. Good girl. Okay, so that's Minnie helping show you how to desensitize your dogs to their Halloween costume. Good girl, Minnie. Good girl. That is her favorite trick. Loves it. I'll have to do one with just tricks for your dog. Okay, so then last but not least, get our last picture here. So if you don't want to go through all that with your dog, here's a tip. Give them a cute bandana. Now you've taken all the work out of getting them used to their costume. They get a fun bandana they can wear around their neck. They're already used to wearing a collar, hopefully, with their tag, and they can wear this no problem. So that's the easiest for sure. All right, guys, so let me close this down, and that's it for this week. So everybody have a safe and happy Halloween next weekend, and next weekend, we're going to do a live broadcast from the dog pack walk in the morning at 9 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then you can see a lot of dogs in costumes, I believe. I've never been to it for Halloween, but they said it's a lot of fun. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.